So what if we made the Mummy, and keep up with me here, we make it sci-fi, the Mummy is sentient metal, and, we give it a disintegration ray. As always, I'm Alex, and this is First Five, where I ask if games are worth your time, not your money. I played a game for 5 hours, and I'm going to tell you if those were 5 hours well spent. And today, the tech priests have dug too deep and too greedily in Warhammer 40,000 Mechanicus.
Even in death, I serve the undesire.
Mechanicus is excellent at feeling like a Warhammer 40k game, but it comes at the cost of a little bit of a barrier to entry. This game's writing feels less like I'm experiencing a story in the Warhammer 40k universe, and more like I'm voyeuristically watching a tabletop Dark Heresy campaign played by 10-year veterans. The characters act almost more alien than many of humanity's Xeno foes, and almost every word that comes out of the characters' mouths is drenched in Warhammer proper nouns and lore. In one character's case, I mean that literally. For veterans and fans of the franchise, I imagine that sounds great. But for the curious and uninitiated, nobody ever stops to explain the importance of anything they talk about. Not sure who or what the Omnissiah these people keep talking about is, beyond the context clue that they all pray to it and it's probably a god of some sort, you're not gonna find out. Never heard of the Skitarii? They're a faction of grunt troops you brought along on your ship, but beyond that, I don't know. Overall, you get enough context clues to get a vague idea of what everything is, but this game hits the ground running and never looks back. Luckily, most of this is all flavor around the meat of what's going on. You control a battle group of Adeptus Mechanicus, tech priests, the weird half-machine scientists of mankind, and have followed the signal of a deceased tech priest to a rinky-dink planet in the middle of nowhere and started reenacting the Warhammer equivalent of the Mummy. You found a Necron tomb, home to a particularly horrifying galactic scourge even by Warhammer standards, and you've accidentally woken up something that you really shouldn't have. And unlike the tech priests, mired in their complexity and lore, the Necrons are very simple and immediately very well established.
I sailed the void for 1,000 years. I fought the war in heaven. What can you do to strike fear in one such as I?
They are ancient, they are terrifyingly powerful, they are waking up from a multi-millennia-long hibernation, and the first thing they're going to do is kill you. And now it's a race against time to carve your way through the planet's tombs and stop this Necron army before they fully awake and can do exactly that. That race against time makes it into the gameplay, as your entire campaign is on the clock. Every mission you undertake has an invisible ink-style alert system that slowly advances as you progress. But on top of complicating the mission itself, the alert level feeds into a campaign-wide doomsday meter counting up to a game over. The longer you dawdle in each individual mission, the fewer missions you can go on before disaster strikes. In the abstract, Mechanicus is a game about resource management, and time is not the only resource you're managing. Each individual mission cracks open a new Necron tomb, often containing multiple encounters, traps, and small decisions to make along the way, and your party's status is maintained throughout the entire run without any ability to heal between fights. You not only have to carefully track your hit points, but also cognition points, a persistent pool of points that you use through the entire dungeon to do basically anything. Want to fire a fancy shotgun or hit someone with an axe? That's a cognition point. Want a double move? That's a cognition point. Need reinforcements? You better believe that's a cognition point. Cognition points are required to do all of these things, but they're also the only limitations stopping you from doing them. Mechanicus is shockingly hands-off with its restrictions. If you want to triple, quadruple, or even quintuple move a character, you can do that, so long as you have the cognition points to pay for it. Want your character to fire all 3 of their weapons on the same turn? The only thing stopping you is how many cognition points you have. And those points track through your entire mission. If you end one fight strong, you can go into the next fight with a full bevy of 4 points and mop the floor with whatever shows up. Or alternatively, if your resources run dry, you'll be left scrambling the next time a Necron shows up. Instead of looking for advantageous cover or getting the right flank or trying to work a rock-paper-scissors system to your advantage, Mechanicus' strategy gameplay is centered entirely around the almighty cognition point. There are also a ton of other little miscellaneous tweaks Mechanicus makes to the strategy formula. Your army is divided between a few highly valuable hero units capable of devastating the battlefield with dozens of tactical options and grunt units meant to soak damage for the heroes. Necrons will get up again a few turns after you kill them, forcing you to spread your attention between fending off current threats and finishing off Necrons that will be getting back up in the near future. Character progression is dizzyingly complex, with characters able to run around with like 5 different weapons plus utility equipment and special abilities. But luckily the game eases you into it a few components at a time. And every weapon is imbued with the Machine Spirit, a mechanic which charges every time you use the weapon, and when fully charged, grants an additional effect next time you use it. But it's time we start wrapping this up, so let's ask, what do you get out of 5 hours with Warhammer 40,000 Mechanicus? Well, my doomsday counter is up to 28%, so for good or ill, 5 hours has taken me through about a quarter of the game, and I just finished bagging my first boss. And while Mechanicus' gameplay takes a little bit of adjusting to, it's refreshingly different, and I'm enjoying my time overall. If you like strategy games, this one's probably worth muddling through all the jargon for, and if you're a Warhammer 40,000 fan, you'll almost definitely enjoy this. As much as I take jabs at it for the moderately high barrier to comprehension, Mechanicus undeniably nails the flavor of its mythos while focusing in on one underrepresented corner of it. And considering how good the game itself is, I can't think of a way you could make an Adeptus Mechanicus player happier. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this first 5 review. If you did, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. If you're looking for games that value your time and don't pad themselves, I'm your guy. And be sure to check out some of my other reviews or some longer form content while you're here. But regardless, thanks for watching this far, and I'll see you all next week.